the Sports Betting Network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino here on a Thursday. Great night tonight in sports. We'll hit all the buttons today. Over the next 4 hours, we're on for an additional hour today leading into Thursday Night Football. Among the guests, Paul Charchian in 30 minutes, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer with player props, Matt Vasgersian on the two baseball cards before first pitch is thrown in either of them, and Brad Powers for a half an hour on college football this weekend. And it is a great weekend in that sport. You pretty psyched for today, pal?
It's good. I would like that the Detroit-Cleveland game was earlier. But and I would also like that the series price in the WNBA Finals not be so high. But here we are, juicy, a lot going on here. And it's a lot of fun.
It's great.
Yes.
It's great. A little bit, we have that WNBA game. We have a full card in the NHL tonight as well.
A lot of college football, right? Some of the, a couple of the games are weak matchups. But James Madison Coastal, a good game. And as you said earlier in the week, I think it's do or die for the Niners.
It is.
Yep.
And I like them tonight.
I think
I think it's a bad matchup for the Seahawks. They are playing their third game in 10 days. Historically, that has not gone well. The number now, I would agree with the market here. The move in the market, it was 3 the entire time, moved up to 3.5. Total now, it got as high as 49.5. A lot of points, big total for 2024, back down to 49 right now. But I do think that both teams can exploit the opposing defense tonight. I think we're going to get some points here tonight as well. I will make the case for like at least 3 player props in this segment that I like. Mm-hmm. I also will tell you that for the first time this year, I believe, I submitted one contest entry with the game tonight.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, good luck to you.
I don't do that with Thursday. No, like, who does that? There's a reason why the Thursday game is always the least selected out of every single game for that weekend.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to tie it up.
Yeah, injury reports, huge, everything. Yes.
Yep.
They beat him 5 in a row. Purdy's been great. Debo, which I'll get to coming up, has owned them. Debo has been a beast against Seattle. Seattle's turned out to be a total fraud after what happened with their start, considering their defensive issues, and it looks worse now what Brissett in New England did against them week 2 when they survived in overtime. Geno's 2-9 straight up as a dog in prime time. San Francisco lost 6 in a row, ATS, against teams with a winning record. This qualifies here tonight, though, as well. Here's why they're cooked if they lose. You got Kansas City on deck. Doesn't look good. But after going 11-1 the last 2 years in the division, and I won't count the loss because it was week 18, and you sat everybody, you'd be 0-3 in the division.
Yeah.
So you continue to blow double-digit leads. And again, as you touched on Monday, Shanahan's done it 18 times since 2017. But also it happened against division opponents. You can't lose to Arizona, you can't lose to the Rams, and you can't lose this one tonight against Seattle. So I guess you'd still people, wow, they're one of the best teams in the league, but you lose this game, you fall to 2-4, suddenly you're looking at 2-5. It's not going to happen. And the schedule and the injuries and what happens, you have no wiggle room if you drop this game tonight.
Yeah, that would tie into some of my advice for today. If you have a book or books that leave up yes-no playoff odds during this game tonight, most of them take it down. Some might leave them up. And if it looks like the Niners are going to be in trouble and they lose this game, you can grab a plus price on the Niners potentially to miss the playoffs. I would take that. That would be a bet that I would put in the old pocket for tonight. Now, Steve Makinen updates his NFL power ratings every week at VSiN.com. He has San Francisco tied for the 5th best overall number in the entire NFL. He has Seattle 23rd. And we look at the power rating, it's actually 5 points here, the difference. So the number's 3.5 tonight. I will tell you, I've never been at this field for a football game. I was there for Metallica on Labor Day. Very loud.
Yeah.
Will the football game tonight, will the fans be louder than Metallica and Pantera? I'm going to say probably not.
No, it won't happen.
However, there's like home field means basically nothing.
You can't compare Geno Smith, the master of puppets.
No. Let's not get nuts here.
Let's not get nuts. So maybe it's just as simple as take care of the ball and have an occasional touchdown in the red zone, and you'll be fine. The 29th in the red zone, Mason should go off and gash him. And then we'll see what Grubb has, too, because it was a bizarre game plan, but an alarming loss last week at home against the Giants and what happened and some of the absurd play calling too. So I think Mason goes off. I think Debo goes off, and I think they'll look right tonight and get the win. But from the Seattle standpoint, that is harsh by Mackin. But it goes back to now they were the bee's knees and 3-0, and now it's will they even make the playoffs? They are dogs to make the playoffs now.
Yep. After
that 3-0 start and what has happened. They look good, and Geno was great in the loss to the Lions. But again, week by week, it's just been, boy, this defense stinks. And it gets worse defensively. And you can't let the Giants do that to you without Singletary and Neighbors.
So I'm trying to find, along with liking San Francisco in the game tonight, some player props I would look at and consider and maybe add in pocket as well. The 49ers defense against opposing wide receivers. They are good against wide receiver ones. They are the best team in the league against wide receiver threes. They are the third worst team against wide receiver twos in the NFL this year. They also allow the seventh most receiving yards per game to running backs. More on that in a second. But wide receiver twos this year against the Niners. Week 1, Lazard, 6 for 89, 2 touchdowns. Week 2, Jalen Naylor, Vikings, 3 for 54 and a touchdown. I don't know who you want to call wide receiver 1, 2, or 3 for the Rams because there was no Cooper Kupp, there was no Nakua. Tutu Atwell in that game had 4 for 93. Last week, Micah Wilson had 5 for 76. That's against wide receiver twos, actually. So does that, again, go to Tyler Lockett tonight, or is it JSN who has the big game? Seattle against opposing wide receivers. They're not great against wide receiver number 1s or 2s. They're really bad against wide receiver number 3s. Hello, Jawan Jennings tonight. And they're not great against tight ends. They allow 59.4 yards per game. So I think it could be a little bit of everything here tonight. Tight ends to eat so far this year. Well, Theo Johnson had 4 for 58 last week. Sam Laporta 4 for 53, and Hunter Henry had 8 for 109. I think there is opportunity here tonight. You mentioned Mason. You mentioned Debo. I think you can throw Kittle into the mix as well.
All right. Love Debo over 53.5. Here's Debo going back against Seattle. 9 for 149 and a touchdown. 9 for 79. 9 for 133 and a score. 6 for 44 and 53 yards rushing. 13 for 156 and 2 scores.
That was in the air.
This is his game log. This is his game log against Seattle going back. So it has been great performance after great performance, Debo, against Seattle. DraftKings has Ayuk 14-1 to have 140 yards, which he did last week. And then you can also bet 100 yards to what you want to do with that. But this sets the tone here. This is a historic week in the NFL. The number has flipped in the Tennessee game in light of the injury news, and it looks like it'll be Richardson.
Right.
Before that was announced, we had 10, starting tonight, 10 home underdogs.
Yep.
Most since 1972. Tying the record going back. So be careful out there, but 9, as it stands now, 9 home dogs this week in the schedule.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, you just broke it down. I mean, that's been longer than we've been alive.
Yes.
So I would also say that there are a bunch of divisional home dogs this weekend. You got to hold your nose with a bunch of them if you're making your bets, but, I mean, a lot of times that's the way it works. I mean, home divisional dogs have covered at a high rate for a long, long time. I'll give you a couple of other props that I like tonight. So opposing quarterbacks, their rushing yards against Seattle. Bo Nix, week 1, had 5 for 35 and a touchdown. He also had 25 and 47 yards rushing in 2 of his other games. Jacoby Brissett really has done nothing on the ground this year. He only had 2 for 6. Do I count Tim Boyle? Do I count Jared Goff? They did nothing. Last week, Daniel Jones, mobile quarterback, 11 for 38. He's also had 20, 32, and 15 in some of the other games so far this year. Brock Purdy is 5-0 to the over. His rushing yards prop on the season, actually 3-2 under the current DK number because he's gone over every single week that they bumped it up for this game. But we're talking 11, 12, 41, 11, and 33 yards by game, and 19 rushes over the past 3 weeks. It's a small number. I took over 12.5. Also, because I told you about the 49ers, they are not good against covering running backs in the air. They allow the 7th most receiving yards to running backs in the entire league. Kenneth Walker's last 2 games, 8 targets, 7 catches, 57 yards. The other game was 5 targets, 4 catches, 36 yards, and he's 2-1 to the over on the year. It's 19.5 tonight, too low. That's going to go over. And I'll tie in the other running back, Zach Charbonnet. Stats by game in the air, 3 for 19, 5 for 39, 3 for 16, 5 for 31, and 2 for 29. He is 4-1 to the over, 5-0 to the over, the current DK number. Running backs this year against the Niners in the air, Breece Hall, 5 for 39. Aaron Jones, 5 for 36. Kyren Williams, 2 for 27. Antonio Gibson, 3 for 67. In that same game, Ramondre Stevenson, 4 for 19. James Conner, 2 for 14. I bet both Walker over 19.5 and Charbonnet over 12.5 minus 120 today.
All right. Excellent. Ayuk to have 100 yards, by the way, is 4-1. I also can't give you anything from a special team standpoint. They have upped longest made field goal here to 49.5.
Wow.
How about that move?
And
2-yard
out.
move. Yeah, it's Matthew Wright. So I don't know what to make of Matthew Wright, and I also think maybe Seattle's a little scared after what happened last week, getting the one blocked, and Myers has had some issues too. So that's a tough call. I would say largest lead under 14.5 minus 120 with some other props there too.
All right. I'm glad you brought that up about the kickers because we have advocated for going over 3.5 at plus money in like every primetime game so far this year that I can recall. Can't do it tonight. Every reason you just talked about. And when you look at DVOA numbers, San Francisco is the second worst team in the league with special teams. The Seahawks are 27th overall. And we saw it last week.
Yep.
The Niners had that block kick that they took back for a touchdown, but also that happened to Seattle. They've been bad, both teams.
Yeah. Horrible performance. You get the gift touchdown to start, 7-0. You still lose the game.
That's right. Up next, win some, lose some. Bad beats, a ton of big prices that cashed as well, and we'll get to today's Major League Baseball card coming up.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
So, Pauly, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah. Came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it, it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
Coming up Thursday on Follow the Money, 49ers Seahawks playoff baseball. Props and picks with Paul Charchian. Also the Meat Man with soccer picks. And Brad Powers on a great college football card. Follow the Money weekdays 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Want to see who at VSiN is on a hot streak? Go to vsin.com/picks to see all the selections and weekly leaderboard of VSiN hosts, writers, and guests. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get every pick sent to your inbox daily. Just head to vsin.com/pro. last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
What a day, MLB playoffs. Unfortunate how it ended with the blowout, but the first 3 games were fire. Lindor does it again. First home run, 8-1. Anytime, 5-1. Lindor to homer and the Mets win plus 650. That also put the prop over. Grand slams for the playoffs. The entire playoffs, 1.5. Back-to-back nights with the salami. How calm, cool, and collected was he rounding the bases? It was like it was a game in June. It's like, whoop-de-doo, no big deal. And he wins it for the Mets.
I loved his quote after the game. I want to win it all. I want to be one of those teams that comes back here every 10 years and we can eat wherever we want for free.
Yeah, that was awesome. Mookie to go deep and the Dodgers win 10-1. Lux 13-1. Will Smith home run 6-1. Most runs of the night, Dodgers 6-1.
Imagine that. Cease didn't have it.
Yeah, on 3 days rest. The Musgrove injury is killing him.
Huge.
And I can't believe how bad Cease has been. They give you a 3-run lead right off the bat in game 1, and then you have a chance to close them out, and you can't even get 6 outs. Come on. Stanton home run, 4-1. Home run, Yankees win, 7-1. Fewest runs. What was Stanton to steal a base?
Oh.
He hadn't stolen a base in 4 years. It couldn't even have been offered.
Probably not.
I can't believe that. Fewest runs, dead heat. Guardians and Padres shut out. Padres 8-1, Guardians 5-1. And welcome back, Toronto Maple Leafs. Shut out. Montreal Canadiens beat them, plus 175, 1-0 final. Come on. And they're getting ready to pop the champagne in Minnesota. It appears the Pollad family is going to sell the team. In 2001, they were almost going to contract the team. You know, they won a World Series in 87 and 91. And finally, the fan base had enough and turned on them. But maybe that's a reason why the family didn't spend any money after they finally won a playoff series. So it looks like the Pollad family going to get out. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram, send them in. It changed the whole season. They were mocked and people laughed at him. It's like, why would Grimace throw out the first pitch at a Mets game? Here he is yesterday, riding the subway with the fans. And there's Grimace hopping on the subway. And the fans couldn't believe it. They couldn't move from McDonald's. There's Grimace showing up, and the Mets fans are loving it. Since late May, they're 72 and 42. You know, and don't laugh, other with OMG and this other stuff. It turned the season around when Grimace threw out that first pitch. And people are like, that's all you Grimace? Really? Great marketing by McDonald's, and he's a hero there, and everyone's got the T-shirts on now. The Mets fans with Grimace. That's awesome. There's a good costume. Hello, Grimace. How about this guy? Look at the front porch. Look at the dog. On Halloween, he's got the bucket, the Puffs, the Cheetos, and his shirt says, I don't give a sheet. Boo, baby. There it is. Look at that tub of food he's got. Not a care in the world. Dressed up like a human. Got the paw in the bucket of Cheetos. Living right. That's right. Good for you, buddy. Lose some. National League teams now, they have the bye with the new format, 6 and 17. After what happened to the Phillies and the Maple Leafs, 165 up to 190. No good. Also put the Oilers on there. They did it again. They got beat 6-0 at home by the Jets. After I think they lost 9-2 last year to start against Vancouver.
I think it was the 3 biggest favorites in the sport. All lost last night.
Yeah. Oh, man. There's some lose-some videos. Well, let's, slow your game down a little bit. This could be tough. Where you're looking and the dog comes onto the course on the green. And the dog takes the golf ball, and he's got it. Here he comes. I think he got a great putt, get birdie opportunity, and the dog says, "No, that's it." He grabs it, off he goes.
Now, what are the odds on that? He goes right for the ball.
Yeah, right. He takes it, play with his toy. He's got that, right? Yeah, good luck. You won't catch him. No way. And this was good. I said, wait a second. I had a spring roll on my plate. What happened to my other spring roll? He walks over to oh, there it is. The dog had it. The dog jumped up. Can't turn your head. Can't do it. Guard your food. The dog jumped up on the table, grabbed the spring roll. There it is. It's in his mouth. No wonder why. I'm short of spring roll. Couple bad beats. Quintana outs recorded. Missed by 1. Tough. Yankees-Royals first 5 under. 1-0 in the 5th. And then two outs, nobody on in the bottom of the 5th for the Royals. And they get 2 runs. The over in the Dodger game was 8. 5-0 in the 3rd inning. 8-0 final. The other 3 games went under. And the Canucks. Calgary's supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league. 4-1 Vancouver at home. Lost in overtime.
Has to be on the list.
Has to be. I can't believe they lost that. They scored 4 goals in the first period.
Yeah.
I look up Calgary's got the lead late.
With a comfy 3-goal lead, you would think, against a really bad outfit.
Wow.
Nope, not on night one.
Yes. Put the VSiN experts to work for you this football season. Start betting smarter with a VSiN Pro subscription. $199 your first year. Code FTM. Every best bet, every host, every guest. 24/7 videos. All the dog videos, the betting splits. The all-new NBA betting guide that's out today. FTM. $199 a whole year. What a deal. Go up to the store as well. Degenerate Paradise shirts, sweatshirts, the pullover like I'm wearing. VSiN.com/subscribe.
Okay, this is per MLB research. Before yesterday, no team had thrown a postseason shutout in a game where their starter got no more than 4 outs. We saw it happen twice on Wednesday.
Yeah, well, we'll do that tomorrow about what the Dodgers should do. But that also, it's the first time since 1905 the first 3 games of a series have had a shutout. 1905 World Series.
No, Guardians can't score.
No. You got to be. It's panic time. You haven't scored in 20 innings, and you have 2 runs in the last 26 innings. Mm-hmm. So other than that first inning of the series, when you erupted for 5, you've done nothing. So that's definitely cause for concern. And then again, you can't, just like the Skubal game, and then yesterday, 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Can't get the big hit. It's Olsen today, and then pitching chaos. They also, poor Cleveland, have lost 11 elimination games in a row.
Yep.
So where are the runs coming from? Can Bybee do it again? And even if you win, you're going to have to face Skubal. So everything's coming up roses here for the Tigers. And it's a tough spot that Cleveland's been in, but can you get the bats going? I don't think they can. This pitching chaos is getting the job done.
This is Bybee going back to September 3rd, a 2.29 ERA. He allowed 9 earned in 35.1 innings pitched. That's his last 6 starts. This is Bybee's 6th start against Detroit this year. That doesn't happen very often. He gave up 8 runs in 11 innings across the first 2 starts, but held them to 3 runs over 15 2/3 over the last 3. So this is how this is the bottom of the barrel we're talking about here with the Guardians. That 20-inning scoreless streak that you're talking about. Longest, this hasn't been that long. The Mariners, 23 consecutive innings in 2022. But if they get past Seattle tonight, that's going to be second longest last 30 years. 1991 Braves had 26 consecutive. So we're talking historically bad here potentially with Cleveland's offense.
Yeah. I also I waited another day and it moved on me, but also they won. I bet Skubal, and I was 16 I wanted to take. I waited 10-1 Skubal, ALCS MVP. I think they win today. Then you throw Skubal in game 1, whether it's the Yankees could blow this. You never know. Yeah. But then you could come back and you got him 1, 4, and 7 potentially in the ALCS.
How about this? Can the Royals win today? They have not won a game at Kauffman Stadium since September 8th.
Can you believe that? I saw the same thing.
I can't.
Isn't that nuts? And then the offense.
That blew my mind.
How about Witt? He's 1 of 13 with 5 strikeouts.
As much bashing as Judge has been getting, right, and rightfully so. Same thing with Witt. I know Witt's much younger, but the guy's been terrible.
Yep, I thought he has been. I thought Schmidt was great. The bullpen was filthy. That was a hell of a game. I was all over Stanton. But how about Stanton, who is actually Babe Ruth, going back in the postseason, and then Judge is Dr. Ruth? How bad he's been. So Judge is 1 of 11 with 5 strikeouts, and Witt now can't do anything. So what are they going to do offensively? Because the win was 4-2, but I guess if he can steal this one, you got to Cole in game 1. You win this one, you go back to New York. It's up for grabs. Right. Who are they going to throw? Rodon? Maybe I don't know what they're going to do with Heel, but it's not over. I think the series price is crazy that they're $6 adjusted series price. But the Yankees are the best team in baseball on the road, 51-31. So. They got a little mojo going. They got some confidence. Although they weren't, 3 runs. No. They weren't great. But again, Judge won't do anything. But can you keep the other guys down and can you keep Soto down? And I full marks to what Stanton did. He won them the game. Maybe he saved their season.
So I have conflicting numbers here on Garrett Cole. He is 6-0 lifetime, 2.06 ERA in 8 career ALDS starts. That goes all the way back to 2018, striking out almost 40% of the batters he faced. That's incredible. However, he's also 1-3 with a 3.91 ERA and 7 home runs allowed in 5 career starts in potential closeout games. That's 11 earned runs over 25 and 1/3 innings. His last game, 2 innings, 3 runs, a loss against Boston in 2021. So, a little bit conflicting there, and they did get to him a little bit in Game 1. But he's got to be priced like he is tonight, I think.
Yeah. Judge, 1 of 20 career against Walker.
Yep. Up next, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian on the program. Who picks up the slack in the Texans' passing attack now that Nico Collins is on IR?
Betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
If you ever get red hot betting and think your picks are worth money, Juice Reel, revolutionizing the way sports bettors buy and sell betting advice. You and everyone else links their betting accounts into Juice Reel. All your betting history automatically loads into the free Juice Reel app with everyone's bets imported straight from the books. You're as good as your betting data says you are. Unlock the picks that real talented bettors have their money on. Get paid real money when other people unlock your picks. Fully transparent betting advice from real people. Only on Juice Reel. Download for free iPhone, Android, REEL. Grab your phone, download it now. Get the Juice Reel app. Juice Reel.
Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian joins the program now. Website is guillotineleagues.com. Podcast is called Fantasy Football Weekly, and he is on the Progressive guest line. Charge, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Yeah, great to talk to you. I'm super excited because, man, I every week I love all my betting angles that I talk with you guys, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. I love these. They all feel really good. We'll see.
Well, I mean, that's the way it goes, right? I mean, I made the case. I think we both did here in the first segment today. We ran down like 8 props that we like tonight. I mean, good. I'd love to hit all of them, but if we go like 6 and 2, great. That's amazing.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah, so, okay, let's begin. And we'll do player props coming up in the next segment. Let's do some general fantasy stuff here to begin like we always do. This is unfortunate in Houston. I do have Nico Collins in one of my guillotine leagues. Leading the league. And he was like running away with the receiving yards. He's turning into one of the offensive players of the year.
Yep.
That went from day to day to week to on the IR. Now he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Killer. Who steps up in the Texans passing attack?
Probably Tank Dell's the obvious guy, although I'm going to talk to you about Xavier Hutchinson in just a second. But Tank Dell is the guy. He was already on the field a lot. What was killing Tank Dell just wasn't getting enough targets because Nico Collins was eating 11 targets per game. Now with those 11 freed up, you figure 3-4 of those go to Tank Dell, and that moves him into the 9-10 target a game range. And so Tank Dell, and people mistakenly think Tank Dell is just like a slot receiver and that he wouldn't go run Nico's routes, but that's not the case. They were really blending the usage, the X, Y, and Z usage between Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell pretty evenly. So Dell's going to be able to move into that main spot. Matchup is kind of neutral, maybe a little bit negative this week because one of the few things that the Patriots are doing well is their cornerback play. Jonathan Jones, Christian Gonzalez, pretty good. But then Xavier Hutchinson, if you're if you're looking for a deep angle here, Xavier Hutchinson's got a little bit of something going. He got almost all the work when Nico Collins went down, not Robert Woods, like maybe you would have thought that might have been the case. And Hutchinson's got kind of a cool story. He was a small school guy going to something called Blinn College in Texas. No idea what that was for 2 years. Transfers to Iowa State for 3 seasons, and all he does is become the FBS leader in catches per game 2 years ago and sets the Big 12 record for the most receptions by a 3-year player all time. He's physical, he's quick-footed, and he's going to get on the field some. So just keep Xavier Hutchinson on your radar. I'm not saying to do anything with him yet, but let's just see how this thing plays out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, excellent. How about the London game? And what do you have with the Bears and Jags, and also what Bigsby did last week?
Oh God, let's just start with Tank Bigsby, okay? First of all, Tank Bigsby is a better runner than Travis Etienne, and we saw the shift start last week. He runs with power, he runs with speed, he punishes defenders. When I'm watching Tank Bigsby run, I get so excited I start involuntarily lactating. And those protein stains, by the way, hard to get out. Keep that in mind as well.
Okay.
Let me give you some stats on Tank Bigsby. He's had 34 carries. Among players with his 34 carries, Tank Bigsby ranks number 1 in yards per carry, number 1 in avoided tackle rate, number 1 in yards after contact, and lastly, number 1 on rushing yards over expectation per carry. And here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of times coaches are slow to make a move at running back because their starter is a good pass protection guy, and they want to be able to keep him in the game on passing downs. Pro Football Focus's second worst rated pass protector at running back is Travis Etienne. That, and we saw last week, the utilization finally flipped to Bigsby. He had one more snap, and he had more snaps and more rushing attempts. Like one more snap, and he had more rushing attempts than Travis Etienne. Losing coaches like Doug Peterson, they got to make moves. And I think this is a move that they're going to make with Tank Bigsby continuing to get more and more work here. And Chicago, the opponent, an elite pass defense, maybe the best in the league, the path of least resistance on the ground where they're not very good, giving up 5 yards per carry. So I would consider, by the way, 37.5 rushing yards on Tank Bigsby is a gift. That seems like a very actionable move if you're so inclined. You believe that the change is coming, and the changes here with Tank Bigsby has looked great.
By the way, this whole thing escalated quickly. I mean, Etienne was like a good player not that long ago, and suddenly, I mean, I have him in my biggest fantasy league, and I'm dreading it. Like, I don't know. I don't even think I can start him anymore at this point. So that said, Bears defense elite against the pass. Brian Thomas has been a great draft pick by the Jags, right? The guy has been producing on a weekly basis. He's a threat. Lawrence likes going to him, but you think it's a really difficult matchup on Sunday.
Brian Thomas has been fantastic. You know, for all the talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. in fantasy, Brian Thomas has more fantasy points. He's been better. But this matchup is brutal. And if you'll remember last week, we cashed on Deontay Johnson under against the Bears because Jalen Johnson is one of the 3 best cornerbacks in the league. And so we're going to play this angle again. We're going to go right back to the well here. Brian Thomas under 56.5 receiving yards because of Jalen Johnson. So when opponents have a clear best number 1 receiver like Brian Thomas, Jalen Johnson goes into shadow mode, and he is awesome. The average game that he's giving up in his coverage is 2 catches for 21 yards in his coverage. Here's what other top receivers have done against the Bears this year. Demarcus Robinson, 37 yards. Michael Pittman, 36 yards. Calvin Ridley got to 50 all in 1 catch, and it wasn't on Jalen Johnson. And Deontay Johnson last week, 23 yards as we hit the under there. So this seems like another clear under opportunity as Jalen Johnson is going to just blanket Brian Thomas and his lights out.
What do you expect out of Rattler and the Saints players now?
Well, so I like Spencer Rattler. I mean, I think the story is really interesting as well, right? So he was the most coveted high school quarterback in the country coming out. Everybody was very excited about what he could potentially do. He ends up at Oklahoma and starts, but eventually gets replaced by Caleb Williams, which is, you could be pretty darn good and then get replaced by Caleb Williams, right? Because Caleb Williams is obviously great. Now, Rattler then goes to South Carolina. And I think most of us thought that would be like the end of Spencer Rattler. We wouldn't have to worry about him again. But the dude played gallantly there behind the worst offensive line in like college football. And I thought he continued to play pretty darn well. Now, Rattler's got an NFL caliber arm. And the one thing that has worked so well for the Saints all year have been these sweet, long bombs to Rashid Shaheed and to a lesser extent, Chris Olave. And Rattler's got the arm for it. I think they're still going to let that kid throw some, and including these long passes that have helped the Saints win games. So I'm continuing to start Rashid Shaheed in the leagues I've got him in. And Shaheed, by the way, has now become really the alpha in that passing offense. We focus on Chris Olave because of his draft status, but Shaheed has more targets, more receiving yards, more touchdowns, and he's averaging 17.5 yards per pass, which is absurd.
Okay, 90 seconds till we have to break. What do you make of what happened Monday night, and what do we do moving forward with Kansas City, with Mahomes, Schuster, Hunt? Was it a fluke, or could that be real, what they did? Because they all went off, Yeah,
I was blown away by how well that offense looked without Rashid Shaheed. You remember a week ago, I'm like pretty kind of doom and gloom. Like taking Rashid Rice out of this offense isn't going to help anybody. Everybody knew Travis Kelce needed to be a big factor. Defense still couldn't stop him. Kelce went nuts. And I did not see Juju Smith-Schuster having this kind of an impact on the team, but he did. He really picked up and started just running those very similar routes out of the slot that Rashid Rice had been running. And honestly, he looked good. Patrick Mahomes over 300 yards, didn't throw a touchdown, but don't care. I thought the game plan was extremely good. And Hunt looks like the running back that they need to carry them over. The other backs really were not much of a factor in this one. And at least for the time being, Kareem Hunt looks rejuvenated, way better than he had looked in Cleveland for a couple of years.
Charge, I honestly think if you put that game on Monday night side by side to like Kareem Hunt's rookie year, not that much of a difference.
How does he have that left in the tank?
Like, where'd that come from?
I don't know. I mean, we saw 2 years of him getting a lot of work in Cleveland and not looking anywhere near this good. And it makes you wonder, by the way, if he hadn't been a moron to begin with, what his whole career arc would have been with Kansas City.
Right.
They'd have held him that whole time, right? Kareem Hunt could have been a whole different player.
I'll give you another one. You came on the air last year before, made the case, huge price, Andy Reid Coach of the Year. Maybe this is the year Andy Reid actually can sniff that award.
Yeah, going in the preseason, he was the longest odds out of every coach in the preseason.
Same this year.
What are we talking about here?
What if they win 14? What if they win 14, 15 games all these? Anyway, we'll continue. Paul Charchi up next. Tonight's game. Should we expect big things from Kenneth Walker?
In the heart of downtown Las Vegas, a sports oasis awaits. Stadium Swim, the ultimate outdoor amphitheater, built for the ultimate sports fan, with a colossal screen that brings the game closer than ever. Reserve a daybed, private cabana, or lounge in the center of it all. 6 pools to dive into as the game heats up. And the best part, there's never an off-season. Open 365 days a year. Stadium Swim, it's always spectator season.
Matt Brown and Mike Somich are on Ready, Set, Bet as they get you ready to make your bets as the last batch of football games kick off.
What I took away from this is I want to bet against the Patriots when they're behind by 2 scores.
People were going, well, I wonder if this team's actually better than we thought. They're not. They just have enough talent.
Don't miss out on crucial advice for live betting once the game starts, as well as looking ahead to the upcoming action. Tune in to Ready, Set, Bet, Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. His website is called guillotineleagues.com. The podcast is called Fantasy Football Weekly. Been doing it for 3 decades now, and he is here on the Progressive Guest Line. Before we get into tonight's game, you had another player that you wanted to share in terms of a prop that you like. Sunday morning, London, Bears receiver. Who do you like?
Rome Odunze breakout game possibly coming here. Jaguars are obviously fertile territory. Second most passing yards allowed. Second most passing touchdowns allowed. Also, we should take a look and see what his anytime touchdown is, because I bet it's sitting at like plus 500, and that'd be pretty compelling. But here's why in more detail. The players who are roasting the Jaguars have the speed and ability to get downfield. Nico Collins, Tyreek Hill, Alec Pierce, all with over 130 yards and a touchdown, both against the Jaguars. Who leads the Bears in average distance of target by a mile? Rome Odunze, averaging 15 yards per target. This is his skill set. It perfectly aligns with the type of wide receivers that have broken the back of the Jaguars in previous games. So I really feel like this might be the game where Rome Odunze, the 7th overall pick in the draft, this might be the breakout game that we've been waiting for right here.
I'm seeing like 50-plus yards in the game at plus 138 in that territory. And then you can climb the ladder and go to 60-plus and get more than 2-1. How nuts do you want to get?
80 yards.
Oh.
I mean, I'm talking 3 guys that have gone over 130 that, and Tyreek Hill's obviously awesome, and so is Nico Collins. But if Alec Pierce can do it, so can Rome Odunze.
Yeah, in a spot that you can't let anyone get behind you. You have 14 with 5 minutes. It happened twice. It was ridiculous. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
very good. No, I can't be mad if that loses. It's so good. Does Mason go off tonight?
Yeah, probably does. I mean, it's one of the great stories of the year, right? Of what Mason's been able to do. Revelation, really. On the ground, no drop-off from Christian McCaffrey at all. Averaging almost the exact same yards per carry to what Christian McCaffrey was giving the Niners last year. Now, where it is really different is receiving. Christian McCaffrey's like, one of the best all time as a receiver. Mason is giving you 1 catch for 11 yards per game through the air. The Seattle run defense has been hammered in 3 of the past 4 games. Tyrone Tracy just ran for 129 yards.
Yep.
The week before, the Lions duo of backs ran for 128 yards. And 2 weeks before that, the New England's backs ran for 178 yards on Seattle. The path to beat Seattle is largely on the ground. Although without Tyreek Woolen, there's going to be some passing in this game too. And so, I think the 49ers are going to handle the job in a must-win situation. I like Jordan Mason a lot. My number 2, I think, ranked running back for this week.
Who goes off then in the air with them? We were talking about Debo, Kittle. The Seahawks are really bad against wide receiver 3s. Could it be a Juwan Jennings game tonight?
It could be a Juwan Jennings game. That's an angle for sure. Where the Seahawks are great is in the slot. And so Deebo Samuel, I worry about a little bit because Witherspoon was fantastic last year as a rookie. He's every bit as good this week. I think this is a Brandon Ayuk game first and foremost. Outside receivers, and this is again no Tyreek Woolen. That is a huge loss on the outside for them. So Ayuk is the guy and then on the other side, Juwan Jennings as well, very possibly.
Now what happens with Walker? And is he overrated?
Underrated. Nobody ever talks about Kenneth Walker. Dude's fantastic. Here he is getting 5.5 yards per carry. He's played in 3 games this year. First game, 103 yards and a touchdown. Second game for Kenneth Walker, 3 touchdowns against the Lions defense, which had rolled into that game as the league's best run defense. And then last week.
What happened?
I think this.
Yeah.
Last week, the Giants bottle him up early on the ground. And basically, offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb just says, forget this. I'm going to throw to him. They threw 8 targets to Kenneth Walker. He caught 7 of them. This is, that tells you Ryan Grubb is like, I got to get the ball in my best player's hands. And that's Kenneth Walker. I love it. Among players with Kenneth Walker's 37 rushing attempts this year, he's number 1 in broken tackle rate. He is great. And San Francisco is a very good pass defense. They're not a great run defense. They're giving up 4.7 yards per carry. That ranks 21st. The Niners rank 23rd in run defense success rate. Pro Football Focus grades them as the 25th best run defense. Kenneth Walker's sitting on a nice game tonight. And if Seattle does win, it's because Kenneth Walker ran through that defense.
You know what else the Niners are not good at when it comes to following running backs? It's through the air. They allow the 7th most passing yards in the air to running backs at almost 45 yards per game. And Kenneth Walker, you mentioned that last 2 games, 7 for 57, 4 for 36. Zach Charbonnet, another one. He's 5-0 to the over, hit the current DK number, the receiving yards on the year.
Love it. That's a great angle. And I don't know what Kenneth Walker's combined rushing receiving number is, but that seems like an excellent play. I'm guessing it's something in the 80-yard range.
I think it's right around there, I think. Yeah. Yep.
I can see it.
What do you expect out of Purdy then?
Well, like I said, I do think there's angles here. I don't have a specific number to give you on Purdy, but overall, I'm optimistic on Purdy. I'm starting a bunch of my leagues, and I've got him as my eighth ranked quarterback. So there's going to be opportunities in a blended attack with plenty of Mason and plenty of Purdy here too.
How nuts do you want to get with Ayuk? He's 14-1 to have 140 yards. Is that too aggressive? Yeah.
No, it's pretty aggressive. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know if I go quite that high, but there is a pathway for him having a big game here.
Plus 250, most yards of the game?
Yeah, I like that bet.
All right.
I like that bet. Most yards, that'd be including rushing or just receiving?
No, that's just receiving.
Yes, then it's in play. It's in play if it's just receiving.
What are you expecting from Geno?
Modest game, and I like Geno. I mean, he's been good, but his history against San Francisco is terrible. He's averaging just 205 yards in his 3 games against San Francisco. He's thrown 1 touchdown total.
Wow.
And the San Francisco pass defense, pretty darn good. 3 opposing quarterbacks haven't even hit 195 yards against San Francisco. Only Sam Darnold has topped 1 passing touchdown. And here's a fascinating matchup for you. DK Metcalf, right? Physical beast, unlike any other receiver in the league. He's going up against the only cornerback who can match his physicality, Isaac Yiadom. He's just a total journeyman guy. But he's 6'1". He's a cornerback, 6'1", 235 pounds. Jeez. There are no cornerbacks like him in the league. That's a fascinating matchup, and I wonder how physical they're going to get with DK Metcalf and how that matchup ends up working out.
Okay. Are you guys celebrating back there in Minnesota after the news that you called this a couple of weeks ago about the revolt? You know, you have power as a fan, and that is don't show up and support the team. The Pohlad family is trying to sell the Minnesota Twins.
Yep, that was announced today that we're gonna hopefully have new ownership here. If there was a active fan revolt happening in Minnesota, people weren't showing up to the games, they weren't watching the games, and we know that the writing had been on the wall for season ticket holders for next year. You know, they saw trouble coming. They don't have a good TV deal here that they're happy with. The ownership wasn't, so they're gonna bow out. And frankly, we're happy to get the Pohlads out of town. Hopefully, we get new owners that are willing to invest in this team. Remember, at this time last year, the Twins were coming off their first playoff victory. They had made it to the second round of the playoffs, and the team slashed payroll the next year. And it ultimately cost this team an opportunity to get to the playoffs. Fans are unhappy. But we are happy on our side.
Yeah. I mean, if you couldn't tell, how about a terrible job by the ownership group reading the room last year? The place, as any baseball city gets, right, during the playoffs, it was absolutely on fire. And they're like, nah, we're going to cut payroll. Screw it. We really don't care.
And raise ticket prices.
Yep, exactly. So people totally out.
There you go.
Hey, before I go,
got
one other angle for you that I want to be sure to try to get to, if you don't mind.
Go.
Tyler Algier, over 37.5 rushing yards and plus 900 anytime touchdown. Bijan Robinson got added to the injury report with a hamstring injury. And these two are going back and forth, way closer on carries than you think. The last 2 Falcons games, it's 18 carries for Bijan Robinson, 14 for Tyler Algier. Panthers are giving up 121 rushing yards per game. That's the 5th most. They rank 21st in rush defense success rate. And a bunch of backup runners have topped Tyler Algier's 37.5 rushing yards already against Carolina. Jamal Williams, Gus Edwards, Chase Brown. And backup runners have scored touchdowns too. Jamal Williams, Roshan Johnson, Chase Brown twice, Alexander Madison. There's a real scenario where the Falcons get way ahead and just run the ball in the second half. Tyler Algier is one of my favorite props this week, over 37.5 and the plus 900 anytime touchdown.
I am scrambling to bet that as we speak.
It's that high?
Plus 900. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
I'll
I got to
take
get
your
to it
word
before
for it.
books adjust then. That's why we love talking to you, Charge. Thanks so much for the time. Good luck this week.
Thanks, friends. Yeah, we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
There you go. Again, guillotineleagues.com is the website. Great format to play fantasy football. Fantasy Football Weekly is a podcast. He joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Come on. Don't adjust that number.
They should get plenty of opportunities if Robinson's limited. I mean, they're not going to move the ball on Carolina.
Oh.
Not going to get in the, deep in several trips to the red zone.
That with that defense?
Yeah, right.
All right, we'll expand on the game tonight. Bunch of angles to go over here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The only thing better than football is the excitement of all the contests. Catch the Circa Friday Football Invitational at 9 p.m. Eastern with picks from